Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Wrestling's Worst Podcast, where we celebrate the utter shite that has been delivered to us in the world of professional wrestling. As always, I'm your host, Dave, and I am joined by my co-host, the man with a tongue that is sharper than any sharpshooter ever been put on by Bret Hitman Hart. That is one Dave Gillum, or otherwise known as the Butcher. Good afternoon.
God, I'm enjoying references towards my tongue. It's a pity my missus didn't look at me the same way.
How are we doing, sir? Are we well?
All right, my mate. Yeah, good.
And we are joined. We have a couple of guests. Up first, you have heard his voice many times before. Either I've been on his stuff or he's been on mine. Over in the States, very, very early. Good morning to one Mike Larkin. How are you, sir?
Doing well, guys. Thank you so much for having me. What's up? With Dave? Very happy to be back.
And we also have another guest making his debut on Wrestling's Worst Podcast. That is the man with no Instagram, if you believe his Twitter account. That is one Kinny, Killa, host of the Sunday Segway Podcast. How are we doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm doing good. Just thanks for having me on, And it is the one man with no Instagram. I tell no lies. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. So thanks for the invite.
No, thank you. And as it's your first time on any of my shows, Kenny, if you just want to give the listeners a bit of your background, what kind of got you into podcasting, what ultimately got you into wrestling.
Yeah, okay. I've been watching wrestling for 20 plus years. My first pay-per-view was Royal Rumble 1991. What got me to wrestling? Ultimate Warrior, simple as. Went around my cousin's house, saw this larger-than-life character. The rest is history. What got me into podcasting? I've been running the Sunday Segway for 4 years now. Me and my boy Shugs, back in the day, we worked together, realized that we both like wrestling, was listening to other podcasts and decided, well, we could do that. The rest is history. And just enjoy it, love it. And now we've got, a live show every other week, and every other week we also have an interview with a famous professional wrestler. So, going from strength to strength and be helping other guys along the way start their podcasts and stuff, and continuing to, help others where I can. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell, bro.
Fantastic. And quickly, just while we're on the subject, just let people know where they can find you.
So you can find us as at Sunday Segway, Segway spelled SEGUE. You can follow me at Kinny Killa, that's KILLA. You can follow us on all platforms, YouTube. You can follow us on iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher. Don't forget to download that Double Twist player.
There you go, and do everything he said.
I never get bored of hearing that. That's like the greatest promotion for himself ever. It never gets boring. The man is a true professional in every meaning of the word.
4 years of practice.
Start out, man. Stop it.
No.
Oh, man. But enough about me, man. Enough about me.
The topic, subject that we're going to deliberate over for the next hour or so is overrated wrestlers. Now, overrated wrestlers, when myself and Dave were putting this list together, we kind of tried to look at it from two angles. One being overrated in the world of professional wrestling, so whether that be by a promotion, by a booker, by a single promoter, and also overrated in the minds of a fan. I mean, when you sit watching Monday Night Raw, you sit watching your SmackDowns, you sit watching your pay-per-views, is there anybody that you sit and look at and think, why are fans giving their time and money into these people when they don't deserve to be on the screens? So, at the top of the list, I'll throw it out to Mr. Butcher. Who's the first person you put on your list?
Hey, there's gonna be mics thrown at the wall, a lot of F's and blinds. That guy's a fucking wanker. Hulk Hogan, it had to be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It just had to be. There was no ifs or buts. I mean, very much the same as Kinny. I mean, I started quite early on in wrestling, and you kind of adapt because the only product available to you is that of the time. What was to me was WWF. Hulk Hogan was this guy, a machine. He was pushed to the top because of the way he looked, the way he handled himself, the way the people looked towards him. And then it got to the point, I think, obviously, the famous heel turn, which at the time was let's be honest, it was fucking out of this world. Never seen anything like it. And it was possibly 12 months after that, I kind of thought, this guy is fucking so two-dimensional. You know, I kind of looked at it. I didn't look at anything he did. Anything he's ever done, for me, in terms of way he came into the business, I can look at and respect, because he put himself there and people believed in him. But it was almost to the point, I think Hogan and certain people buried himself. You know, I think he held on too tight to the NWO. Too many people were fucking thrown into the NWO, which put a bad reflection on, from my point of view, on Hulk Hogan. You know, a lot of people started airing their views on the guy. But most of all, I never really seen any real ring ability by the guy. You know what I mean? I look at it from a point of view, and I've got my favourites like everyone else has. You know, I went through the late 80s all the way through, and I've got the guys that I look at and I think, fuck it, how did that guy never achieve anything? How did that guy never win the big one? You know? And we discussed this, Dave, and we said certain people didn't really need to win the big one, because you can look back on it now and go, that guy had a great match there, great match there, great match there, great match there. That guy could carry a building, a mic, all these things. Hulk Hogan, for me, was very much the same way they push another guy that's on this list. I'm not going to say his name, because you all know I can't fucking stand the guy. You know, it's kind of certain people have got older, this same guy, and done exactly the same thing they did with Hulk Hogan. You say this, people are going to love you. It doesn't matter what you do in the ring. You can do 5 moves of, you know, 5 moves, or you can do, or you can do 2 moves. That's all you need to do, and that is so true to life. It doesn't matter what you do. You know, and Hulk Hogan for me, just when you've got a larger than life character like that, and people look to him in a certain way, and you hear a lot of people kind of say, yeah, that guy's a god, he's a wrestling god. Is he really a wrestling god? Or is he just a guy you look towards when he picks up a mic?
Well, I think,
and that's why I put him there.
I think Hulk Hogan is never ever going to be in a top 50 wrestlers list. But in a top 50 superstars list, which there's a massive difference in WWE's world, Hulk Hogan's number 1.
Yeah.
He was the man. When I got in, me and Kinny are exactly the same age. I probably started watching it exactly when he did. And Hulk Hogan was the man. It didn't matter if he couldn't wrestle. You weren't watching him in a weird way. You weren't watching a wrestling show to watch Hogan wrestle. You were watching him for his promos. You were watching him for his big leg drop, his big boot. You were watching him for his celebration at the end with all his poses and stuff. That's what you watched him. You watched Hulk Hogan to rip his fucking t-shirt in half.
Yeah.
You never watched him for wrestling.
I did always wish I could rip my t-shirt like that.
I got into trouble many, many times when I was younger for taking a little bit of scissors to the top of t-shirt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mate, there was an easier way. We used to get the Tesco's bags and colour them yellow, right? Put arms through them and just tear the shit. Listen, it was the most amazing feeling to record Hulk Hogan's music, play that shit, put on a Tesco bag and rip that shit to shreds.
Oh, that's amazing.
We did that with carrier bags, but to make Macho Man tasselled.
Yeah. Can I just say something on the Hogan thing? I mean, like, I definitely, I can see where Butcher's coming from. I definitely echo Dave's sentiments, just because when you look at Hogan in stages, okay, you look at Hogan in 3 stages. You look at Hogan AWA, you look at Hogan WWF, you look at Hogan WCW. You look at that because that's 3 periods of his enormous career. The guy got over in the AWA. Obviously, on the back of the whole Rocky movie and stuff, he managed to get over. Once you're over, no matter how you get over, once you're over, that's it. And he managed to get over with the leg drop. He managed to get over with the, say your vitamins, your prayers, and all that kind of stuff. Because back then, growing up, people wanted to believe in something, and Hogan made you believe in something, and that's why when Dave says about not needed to watch him wrestle, it's right, because you never needed to see that. All you needed him to tell you is, if you take your vitamins, if you say your prayers, you know, we're always gonna win. That's why Hogan rarely lost, and when he lost, man, people were you see people crying in the in the stands and stuff like that, and because we were kids. Now we know better, because obviously we're older. And then you look at his ability when he was in the WWF, right? Towards the end, he was floundering. People were booing him. Sid Justice, this new guy on the block, big guy, you know, he's got a power bomb, a leg drop over a power bomb. There's no comparison, you know. And he had the ability to jump ship, and not only jump ship, but realize where he was failing, you know. He needed to reinvent himself, and the only way to do that was to become a bad guy. And look what happened. Like, again, he rejuvenated the business, which helped, you know, with the Monday Night Wars and so on and so on. And then he got a bit too big for his boots with the whole Russo stuff, but that's just egos bashing. So for me, I you know, no matter how much I would love to say Hogan's overrated, I personally, after looking at everything, I couldn't say he's overrated. Yeah, wrestler, he's shit. He's shit as a wrestler. As an entertainer and a superstar, like Dave said, yeah, man, he's one of the best, you know.
See, I'm with Kinny. I really am. Hulk Hogan has put me on the fence. I never thought I'd side with Hogan over anything, but him.
That's what I do. I call controversy.
So, moving on the list. Now, everyone that's heard me on either Ruthless Aggression or Wrestling's Worth, they know that I couldn't be further away from a fan of these two pair of clowns, the fucking Young Bucks. Now, we have two individuals who are trying to be Matt and Jeff New Gen, wearing... I can't even put a... It's like... Do you remember the New Rockers? Remember the New Rockers of Marty Jannetty and Al Snow or Leif Cassidy? It's like they wear their gear, but without the tops. It's like the Hardy's 90s gear is even better, right? And that's not even touching on them in-ring fucking work. Do you know what I mean? Ring bell, super kick, moonsault, super kick, ring bell, match over. I would much rather, touching on what we said about Hulk Hogan, I would much rather sit and watch a Hulk Hogan match, watch Hulk Hogan wrestle or try to wrestle, than watch the Young Bucks do flips after flips after flips after flips. And there's a reason why, and I said this on the last Max Wrestling, I did a little promo on them. There's a reason why they're not in the WWE, and it's not because of their attitudes. There's people in the WWE with bad, fucking, stinking attitudes, which we're all aware of. They're not in the WWE because spot monkeys don't belong in the WWE. You need to tell a story. People need to be invested in a match. I'm not invested in a spot monkey match. Don't mean they've got a time and place. Like the cruiserweights, I believe they should be where your spot monkeys should be, because that's what their kind of genre or their niche of wrestling is. The Young Bucks, awful tag team, awful individual, awful attitudes, awful promos, awful super kicks. Super kicks is a finisher. It's a finisher. Simple as. Dolph Ziggler, you could be on this list for this fucking reason. A super kick's a finisher, yeah. It's not a transitional move, yeah. It's not a fucking wrist lock. It's not a takedown, yeah. It's not a collar and elbow tie-up. You don't start a match, boom, super kick, boom, super kick. Nah, fuck off. You're on this list.
Dave, Gillum?
Well, what the fuck can I say to that? I think the issue that I've always had with the Young Bucks is they've kind of been hyped up. Do you know what I mean? And that was the issue. Very much the same as we haven't seen a tag team like Matt and Jeff Hardy in years. You know, Jeff went his own way. Matt basically became really broken. It weren't just a gimmick. And these two guys kind of came on the scene, doing a few indie shows. Then TNA picked them up, and I watched them on TNA. And let's be honest, people, right? We've all watched TNA. We've all seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah? These guys should have been able to break TNA. They should have been able to break TNA. And they failed. They failed because of their attitudes. But their in-ring work was non-existent, even in TNA, and you can't really blame that sort of stuff on writers, bookers. You know, they can only do with you what you have in your suitcase. You know, they've gone over to New Japan, and I'm not going to have a dig at them because of New Japan, because, let's be honest, it's a very much the same sort of thing as, how can you put it, NWO. They're in a big faction which is fucking huge, massive. You know what I mean? It is so fucking big. Not just in New Japan now, all across the world. The Bullet Club is a standard in itself, and I know you see him with his hands fucking going, you know? I mean, I look at it and I just think it's a marketing genius. People criticise it and say, oh, they're jumping on the NWO bandwagon. To be honest, I don't agree. I don't agree with it. But these two guys, I would go as far as saying is, they're almost like they carry bags in New Japan. Would Kinny agree with that? In ROH, they're a different kettle of fish. In ROH, they kind of carry someone's bags. You very, very, very. You know what I mean? They're basically Kenny's ass jockey. You know,
you're trying to like say that they're the Triple H to the Click when he first joined WWE.
In ROH, you mean?
You know, yeah. I see them in ROH, and they're basically they're given their own identity to a degree. Yeah. In New Japan, they haven't got their own identity. They're basically, like I say, they carry Kenny Omega's bags. You know, they're very much for me the Briscoe and the Patterson.
See,
the Stooges in the 2000s, and that's the way I look at them. I don't want to look at them in that sort of way, because I think here's two young guys, right, that have been heavily criticised over the years for having a bad attitude, right? And there's a lot of fucking shitbags in the wrestling business that determine who gets to work where, who gets fired, do you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people like that, and these two guys have got this reputation. And let's be honest, if people don't talk to you and say, right, listen, you two really need to have something different about you. We need to, you know, look at what you're doing now. There's nothing wrong with this, there's nothing wrong with this. But you need to put 2 or 3 new moves, and that's the issue. It's not really, I don't think it's an issue that the bad workers. I think it's just a case that fucking that super kick thing has become a fucking. It's almost like Brock Lesnar's Suplex City. Everyone wants to see Young Buck super kick fucking someone like Maria Kanagalis in the face. I want to see him kick Maria Kanagalis in the face. You know, I like it. I can't agree with that. I don't think they should be on the list. I gotta be honest, I don't.
Okay. I also, all right, just about think that they don't deserve to be on the list. Now, this is my reasoning, okay? So my reasoning is because just like what Butcher said. So when they came into TNA, they were Generation Me. They had their head up their asses. They were a little bit. They thought they created something unique, which they did, but they came around at a time where TNA. You know, they had Angle, they had all these other guys that were pushing the show. So Generation Me had this little part where they already had like AMW, and even like then they had Beer Money and had all these other tag teams. So it was like they weren't that unique. You know what I mean? They weren't at the top of that tag division. So for them to have their head up their asses, it was the wrong timing because they hadn't built up anything yet. That's why TNA were able to just say fuck off. You know what I mean? Because it was just like, well, we've got LAX, we've got, you know, we don't need, it doesn't really matter. So then when they went on the indie scene, they realized, obviously, failing with what they did in TNA, they have to get over using their unique style. Without talking, they have to wrestle. So what they decided to do was become the guys that had the different repertoire in terms of tag team moves, double team moves, and then what they added was the ability to have a 4-star, 5-star match with pretty much majority of the tag teams because you could only have a good match with whoever you're wrestling with and so on, and the chemistry, and they managed to do that. So then when they went over to New Japan was a different thing because they were starting to build up their junior heavyweight division, their junior heavyweight tag division, and they went over there and just cut, like, this is even before Bullet Club, and just like captivated everything over there. You know, the Japanese audience loved that. They love the high flying. They love the double team moves and their ability to tell a story within. When you have a fatal four-way tag team match, you think, oh shit, like all this stuff is going on, blah blah blah. But their ability to tell a story with 3 other tag teams. We're talking like 8 people in the ring. You know what I mean? Like the ability to do that for me. Is what's made them grown. Yeah, the super kick thing, again, just like what you guys were saying, the Superlex City is the same kind of thing. They found something to market. But I echo what Dave's saying. The super kick, it's become a Superlex. You know what I mean? It's become a normal body slam. That's you know, it's
like the DDT.
Yeah,
like very much like the DDT.
Yeah, but
that is now a transitional move.
But that, and I tell you what, because we're old school, that is just the transition of the way the wrestling business has gone. Because we've got fucking Canadian destroyers, we've got Phoenix splashes, we've got all this stuff. So that becomes just a standard move. We don't like it, but I understand what you mean. Sometimes if you've seen if you feel like you've seen one Young Bucks match, sometimes you feel like you've seen them all. But it depends who they're wrestling against and where they're wrestling, I suppose. But for me, I feel they just don't deserve to be on the list. I
must say, it did hurt me a little bit when you used the phrase "telling a story" and the Young Bucks in one sentence.
It was like.
I was like, Kinny, send me this link. Right? You need to find this match out and send me this link.
I could do that, man.
That shit's true.
I could do that. I'll do that for you, bro.
Right. So, what we're saying? Bucks of Youth, are they overrated?
Oh.
Do you know what? I'm gonna say no, because I've seen a hell of a lot worse tag teams than them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Butcher.
I think they're worth saving. I do think they're worth saving. You know, I think we could we put it down to the fact that maybe the guys had a bad start in life, and maybe mom and dad should have kept their feet on the floor. You know, I don't know. I think they're young, you know, and I think they've still got life in them. I mean, I think it's probably too early to say. You know, you guys are a bag of shit.
Once they go WWE, you'll see they'll either get chewed up and won't know how the hell to. Because when they go, they're gonna have to humble the fuck up. So you might see a different. Well, there's no might about it because Vince won't take no shit. Triple H won't take no shit. You will see a different attitude towards the Young Bucks, and it may make them better. It may make them a better tag team for it.
You got to remember that there was 2 guys that went to WWE NXT development, and they had a tryout match, and they were none other than Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. And they went into there with the attitude that they were still fucking the main guys in the ROH, and they got chewed up to fuck, botch after botch after botch, and they weren't good enough, you know. And for them to go to TNA and basically call themselves fucking the greatest fucking tag team, everyone's used that term, greatest tag team. Everyone's used it, you know. But until you show what you're capable of, you know, you got to do it on the big stage. And for me, there's only one stage, you know, after WWE at the minute, and that's New Japan. And the guys doing it in New Japan, and I think that's got to be, you know. And then when you basically look at the guys they're in the ring with, you know, it's so easy to basically die in New Japan. You know, you got to remember that's a die-hard country for wrestling. And they'll suss you out quicker, especially because you're the, you know, stereotypical. Because you're American, they'll suss you out very quick. They like their Americans, but if they don't like you, you'll be gone.
Yeah,
it's been seen, you know. I don't think they deserve to be on the list. I gotta be honest.
I love it. So far we've done 2 so far on the list, and 2 that we still can't decide if they're on the fucking list or not. Right, so moving on, and it's such a shame we're having a bit of an issue with Mike's Skype and everything, because Mike does a beautiful Bobby Lashley impression.
Yeah. Oh, tragic. This is tragic, because the thing I got with this is Mike has me in stitches every time, because I'd just be interviewing Mikey and I'd be like, come on Bobby, what's the issue, you know? And Mike could just respond with his Bobby Lashley impression, you know? I look at Bobby Lashley and it's the same way as I look at most people. The guy has the credentials as the CV, right? Now, the issue was, when he made his debut in WWE, you could see that guy was a wrestler. You could see it, because they enabled him to be it. You remember at the time, obviously, Lesnar was... What, did he come in after Lesnar, or just after, right? So they'd lost that thing with Brock Lesnar, and they brought Lashley in and basically pushed him the same way as they started pushing Lesnar. Obviously, he didn't have the bad attitude that Lesnar had, but they were enabling him to be what he came in, what his background said he was. You know, he was an army wrestler. You know, he'd done all these things, and you could see the guy had promise. And all of a sudden, he left the WWE. I don't understand. I think it was basically a lot to do with his wife, wasn't it? Crystal, I think he remarried, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think there was basically a lot of bad blood backstage with her. He basically went his own way, and then entered the world of MMA. And, you know...
You say entered.
Hats off to him, you know what I mean? Everyone wants to try their hands at something new. It just was unfortunate for me. Bobby Lashley's never been, well, for me, credible in MMA. It shows the UFC have never picked him up. But then I look at his... See, this is probably quite unfair of me, putting him on this list. Because, again, I'm kind of pushing on something I just pushed on previously with the new book. You will only be pushed with what you're basically remembered for. He's not remembered for his WWE work. He'll always be remembered as the guy that left WWE, went to MMA, moved to, then come to TNA, left TNA, went to Bellator, come back to TNA. He's a mixed martial arts artist. It's basically the same sort of shit you hear with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar isn't Brock Lesnar anymore. Brock Lesnar is this guy that just picks you up and throws you around. You know? Is that his fault? No, because it's a marketing genius. Bobby's the destroyer. He's not a wrestler anymore. He's meant just to punch you in the face, and that be it. You know? Is it Bobby's fault? I don't know. I think Bobby Lashley has got a hell of a lot better in the last 18 months on a mic. You know, possibly 12 months. 18 months is probably me being too generous. Last 12 months, probably I'd say that's where Bobby's got a lot stronger on a mic, holding his own. But you know what, boys? I just think too late. Too late. Yeah. I kind of think, as the guy overachieved in everything he's done in a wrestling ring, I would say so.
Kenny?
Yeah, I agree with Butcher. I think he's overrated. I think so Vince, you know, does what he does. He sees this guy and he just starts seeing dollar signs. He got brought up way too early. I think if they held out for a little bit more, he could be probably one of the biggest superstars alongside John Cena in WWE right now. But they just, yeah, man, you know, imagine him, you know, being in WWE now alongside John Cena as that top guy. Like, they really rushed it too quick. Then the backstage stuff, and for me, he's never been a promo. No. He's got a lot better in the ring over the last 18 months. He's kind of sussed out his character a bit more. His heel runs have helped him, you know, develop his character and stuff a bit more. But man, I feel like he is a shadow of what he could actually be. And I mean, he's got the look. He could have been the guy. And I hope that WWE don't make the same mistake with Roman Reigns as they had with Bobby Lashley. So for me, the guy stays on the list, man.
I agree. I've not got enough oxygen or time in the day to give Bobby Lashley my fucking piece. He's shite. So let's move on to the next one on the list. It's one that I put on the list now. I can guarantee this is going to make every single person in the world.
I'm not even talking about this. I can't bring myself to talk this one.
The biggest issue I have about this young gentleman is that he's built like a cruiserweight. He wrestles like a cruiserweight. But we've got to believe that he could go up against somebody like Brock Lesnar and win. That is one Finn Balor. Not a fan. Not a fan. Never. I'm not a big indie watcher, which I'm always open and honest about. I've always been a WWE boy. I like the look of Balor. I like his old demon thing and all that. My argument I have that people seem to care more about him because of his entrance and is actually what he is as a wrestler. It's all about this demon character and stuff and all this face paint and body paint and all that. But then you watch him in the ring, and if we've got to now start looking at Finn Balor as this main eventer, a double foot stomp from a finisher, a Spike Douglas special, for me, that's not a main event finisher's move. There's nothing that really, I look at Finn Balor and I see he's trying to be everything that Daniel Bryan was, with his running drop kicks, etc., trying to get the crowd pumped behind him. But I don't know. I don't know whether it's a wrong period of time for Finn Balor, or Finn Balor, he doesn't feel right. I wasn't bothered when he made his return. He goes on this list mainly because 99% of internet fans didn't have a clue who we were 18 months, 2 years ago, but they all harp on like they followed him their entire life.
See, but that's hard though, because it's like, again, we only watch what we can watch, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, watch just WWE and so on and so on. Like yourself, you say you don't watch a lot of independents. I didn't watch a lot of independents until I saw certain guys. So once I found out about Prince Devitt, when he was facing off against Kenny Omega, I was like, for both of them, I was like, who the hell are these two guys? And this was a while ago, man. This would have probably been back like maybe 7 years ago, something like that. And then I just thought, these guys are nuts. Like, what's going on? And obviously, that's the cruiserweights and stuff. And then I started watching New Japan, and I was like, okay, this is different now, because if Japanese fans, they sit on their hands, okay? Everything is done
they applaud spots at the end.
Yeah. And the way the guy carried himself as a character, the persona, that kind of stuff, in New Japan, it really kind of. I endeared myself to him, and I can't continue to watch him, and seeing his ability in the ring, I just thought WWE need to pick him up. It's a no-brainer. And the thing is, when I thought about that, I did never think, WWE need to pick him up and he's just going to be like a cruiserweight or anything like that. You know what I mean? Now, bearing in mind, that's not because the cruiserweights weren't around, but you still look at guys and think, he's not going to be main event or whatever. And I personally felt that he could be main event. Now, it was right for him to go NXT. It was right for him to go NXT, because I don't think he was right to go straight to the main roster, because he wasn't ready. He had to build that up, because like you said, not a lot of people knew who he was. But for me, again, it's open to interpretation, and like you said, everyone has their preferences, and your preference is big guys, hence why he's on the list. So I got to applaud you for that. That's your thing, you know what I mean? For me,
even though a bit further later, Batista's on the list as well.
For me, he still needs to work a bit on his promos. He's got the look, but yeah, for me, I don't feel that he's overrated. I feel that he needs to come off the list. That's just my personal preference.
Butcher?
I love the man. you
I don't even know why I threw it out there.
Honestly. I'm going to disagree with everything you say, just because you said it. No, I you know what? Like we said, you hit the nail on the head when you said a lot of people had never heard of him. I was one of them, right? I think the first time I came across him was when one of my mates said to me, he said, dude, check out this guy. Fucking hell. He's got more faces than the Joker. I was like, what the fuck? Really? He said, seriously, he said, this guy is just gimmick mad. Every time he comes to an event, he turns up as something different.
The first time I kind of got introduced to Finn Balor was when he was still Prince Devitt, and it was pure images. It was, look at this guy with his face paint around his neck and stuff. It looked amazing. Well, why aren't we seeing this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis?
I don't know.
This is the character that people fell in love with on the independent. People fell in love with
the issue I've got, mate, would be solely directed towards WWE and WWE fucking the way they're not letting the guy actually be himself. Yeah. I think Kinny will definitely agree with what I'm saying. If you give that guy the tools to be himself, you will see a different Devitt every fucking pay-per-view. You only have to go back and look at his work in progress with Jimmy Havoc.
Yeah.
Right? Watch him turn up as Hannibal Lecter on a fucking meat trolley. Yeah? Watch him turn up as the Joker. the guy, you know, I think you said something about watching his finishing moves. You go back and look at a lot of his stuff. You go back and look at his work, and the guy is so... WWE have cut his moveset down. WWE have cut his moveset down. You know, I don't think it's a case of they don't trust Finn Balor. I think it's a case of they don't trust a lot of their locker room staff to be able to go with Balor to that extent. That is as far as I will say. In New Japan, when you watch his work, they trusted him. You know, with every bit of their inner being. Vince doesn't trust his own locker room. That's the way I stand. Balor's God. I've just developed this kind of thing from him from watching his work in New Japan, and I think it goes to say when you let a guy like that leave New Japan, they looked to another guy to replace and basically fill a spot and it showed just how good Devitt was with the man they replaced him with. You know, I can't put him on there. I can't put him on there. No. No.
Even though I disagree with all three here, my list.
It's the list of Dave.
The list of Dave, yeah. With Dave and friends. So, right, we're going to move on then. So, I guess Balor is not on the list. We're taking him off the list?
No.
Okay, move on now. Butcher. I'm going to time this because we've been here before, and we can go on a little rant, and we can get sidetracked, and we're in half an hour, we're still talking about him. Would you like to let us know who's the next person on the list?
I can't. Do you know what? Anyone that's ever, I'm not going to waste my time with it, to be honest with you, because anyone that's ever freaking heard me on any of our shows, whether it be Max Wrestling or Sunday Segway, knows I despise this man with every bit of my inner being. This is almost coming out like a fucking promo, you know? Go fuck yourself right now. No, I mean, come on, man. I can't bring myself to, you know, I can't buy into this shitty train ride. You know, I'm a firm believer in people have got dreams and, you know, ambitions and, you know, and again, it's the Hulk Hogan train ride. You know, they pushed this guy the same way as they pushed all top guys that they wanted to get over. And that's not his fault. But you know, but you know what, brothers? You know, when this guy comes out, and you know, it's for me, I see the same shit every year, right? There's only so much that they can give him in terms of material to work with, right? The guy has got no ability to come up with any new material for himself. Is that because WWE said, John, you really can't say anything else? Because if you say the wrong thing, this old John Cena shit and kids wearing t-shirts, we'll go tits up. You got to watch what you say. I mean, am I a person that would say, mark the fuck out if John Cena come out next week with a chain and wrap the freaking baby face like Finn Balor or someone around the face? Shit, man, you would see a different butcher towards John Cena, right? But this gimmick, for me, has gone its toll. It's gone its toll. John Cena has done all he could in terms of what he's had. I think John Cena burnt himself out years ago. And I think he's just been holding on for dear life. I would go as far as saying the WWE needs John Cena to, obviously, we could say, yeah, make him money. Would they 100% say that they're satisfied currently with where John is? Is there anything else they could do with John Cena? No. Because, do you know what I mean? The guy that comes out, same promo. Every time he comes back. Did you guys miss me? No, they go fucking places saying you suck. You know? Is that now just a catchphrase? I think so. Do people actually think he sucks? No. Just me. You know? It's just me, and I don't care if it's just me. You know? Five moves of doom. a shitty leg drop. You know, if I'm honest, I would say WWE killed John Cena a long time ago. But the fact I think that John, how can you put it? A guy that's got no balls. That's what I would say he is. A guy that's got no balls. I mean, if I was as big as John Cena is, and I know John Cena's huge, massive. You know, he's a marketing freaking machine. I will say that. But if I was a guy like John Cena, I would be dictating. Listen, man, you need me more than I need you. Let's play, you know. Do I believe John Cena wants a heel turn? Fuck yeah. Because I believe John Cena would say, he's done what he can with this. And, you know, I just look at it and I just think, I've not seen anything other than his thugonomics gimmick. When he came in with that, you know, ruthless aggression era, the slap across the face, Kurt Angle. That was the John Cena I loved. John Cena with this, it's gone past the time. And it's just, to me, it just gets to the point where it just makes him overrated for me. I can't see the same thing time and time again, because I do the same rant every time and time again. You know?
That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to edit this and I'm just going to play your last rant about Cena during this time. What about yourself, Kinny? Where do you stand at the John Cena brigade?
John Cena. So the regular thing with me and John Cena is that I dislike the character John Cena, but I respect the person John Cena. Now, when John Cena was doing the Thugonomics thing, you know, I did like him. But as time has gone on, I have been a massive hater of John Cena. And then again, over the last maybe 3 years, I've been turned around to the point where I'm starting to believe that because of the talent that have now come up in WWE, John Cena is able to have the kinds of matches that we didn't believe that he was able to have. I mean, you look at the time when he was in the Ruthless Aggressor era, he was fighting guys like, you know, fucking Big Show and Carlito and Jesus and all of these kind of guys, Luther Reigns. Then Kurt Angle left and it's like, shit. Then he's facing Randy Orton for forever, because that's who was there. Forever. You had the brand split, you know, it just perspired that way. But then all of a sudden WWE have these guys, you know, these Seth Rollins, these fucking Daniel Bryans, these CM Punks. They have these Alberto Del Rios. There's guys for John Cena to now wrestle with and have those type of matches. And I began now to really enjoy John Cena, depending on who he's fighting, because I never believed John Cena would ever job for anyone, ever. I didn't think that would ever happen. And now seeing other guys get over, like Daniel Bryan's and your CM Punks who beat Cena, I have to applaud that. Now, though, I think where it went wrong, similar to what Butcher was saying, I think it went wrong when WWE decided to tweak the Thugonomics thing, because on the back of something Cena said, which was around the whole like keep trying and all this kind of stuff. And they realized that shit was marketable, and they realized more and more kids started liking John Cena. And then they decided to tweak it, and that is where John Cena started to sell all this merchandise and started to do the Make-A-Wish, and all this stuff started happening, and it became so hard for him to come out of that. He was such a money earner for WWE. You know, he has a say, but now he has his character and he's devoted to these kids. He's devoted to everything that he does, and then he believes it. And why would he change that? You know what I mean? Why would he change that? And I think it's just all meshed into this big thing where people started to get bored, similar to what happened with Hogan. The difference with Hogan, he had enough creative clout to say, you know what, I'm changing my shit. Cena, because we're in a time where money is everything and it's a lot of money, they're like, no, we're not changing it, you know, which means he's past that bit. Luckily, other guys have been able to come in and wrestle with him, and now he's been able to like get the respect of a lot of people. I respect him. His character is bland. His wrestling skills have massively improved. I'm on the fence, man. I'm not gonna lie. Butcher, you would have never have heard me say that shit 2 years ago. I would have, you know what I mean? I would have kicked my own ass for that shit. But now, man, I'm on the fence now, man.
I think can I just add one quick last thing? And the one thing I will say is basically Kenny just hits on it there. I will go and say, and don't ever fucking print this shit, because I'll find you, Dave. Right? I can go as far as saying I respect his in-ring work.
Fuck
right?
it. Oh.
Yeah, I will say that. I mean, when you watch when you watch his matches with AJ Styles back, you ain't gonna go as far as saying 5-star. You know, and it ain't all down to AJ. AJ is a hell of a person to be in the ring with, and it gives you confidence when you're with someone of that caliber, a wrestler. But for John Cena didn't look uncomfortable once. You know, and I think that, like you say, that does kind of go as far as saying that who are these people telling John what he can do?
Yeah.
You know. I think that's the guy. A guy like AJ Styles isn't going to go into a ring, and you're going to be stupid if you're going to say to a guy like AJ Styles, right, AJ, we need you to do this, we need you to do this. AJ Styles going to look at you, what the fuck? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? You know, I look at it and I just think, yeah, all right, okay. Oh, my bad. Yeah, I look past that bit of John Cena, but I just think my issues are more than is in ring.
Yeah, I think it goes darker and deeper, your content. It's like, did John Cena like bully you when you were a child or something? There's some deep, dark undertones as to your hatred towards Cena. But let's finish on Cena here. So what's that? Is that the fifth one that we've now done? And is he on the list? I'm with Kinny and Mike. I'm on the fence. I'm with Kinny 100%, where character, the John Cena never give up, fucking hustle, loyalty, respect and all that, he fucking sucks. But we've now hit that peak of time, exactly like you said, Kinny, where we've got this group of wrestlers, and I'll even throw Finn Balor in that group as well, who will be able to bring the best out of Cena. I think what we've seen Cena the last 10 years, like you said, Kinny, with the Ortons, and before that when the Ruthless Aggression, you never, exactly what you said, they never gave Cena the chance to actually show what he could actually do. Do you know what I mean? And when you're working with someone who's got a wrestling mind like AJ Styles, who will think of moves before you even thought about them. So working with someone like that and having AJ Styles' brain to work with, I can imagine AJ Styles sits down with Cena and says, right, Cena, is there any moves that you'd like to do that you've never done? Because I'll happily give it a go with you, because I know together we can pull it off. But now compare that to against a Randy Orton feud of like 2006, 2007, they're both still relatively green in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you've got to think, John Cena only made his WWE roster debut in 2002. So when you get into their first and second Randy Orton feud, there's no veteran in that feud. There's no guidance. It's basically, what moves are you comfortable with? 5 or 6. Well, these are the 5 or 6 I'm comfortable with. If we can break them down with rest holds and headlocks and moments outside the ring, we should be able to pull out a 20, 30-minute match. But now you move on 10 years later, he's fighting AJ Styles at Royal Rumble. That could have gone on for an hour, and I would have not been bored. It was a great match, because I firmly believe that was AJ saying to Cena, right, Cena, what else can you do? Because you've been around here for long enough now, surely you've got other moves in your repertoire. So, in regards to Cena, the character, the Cena what we've seen on TV for the last 10 years, hell yeah, he goes on this list. In regards to wrestler, I think because he's improved dramatically, and even Butcher said, and I think because Butcher said he respects his in-ring work, I think we all have to agree that he doesn't belong on this list.
You're the host, bro. You're the host.
Yeah, you're on there, Cena. I don't like you. Moving on then to one that, again, I imagine this is going to bring up a few raised eyebrows.
You smell what the Rock is cooking.
And speaking of raised eyebrows, when I was 13 or 14, I couldn't wait to tune into Monday Night Raw on a Friday, sit in front of that mirror and try and get that eyebrow to raise and raise and raise. And now Kinny over the Skype webcam is showing me a funky pop rock, is it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's from the Slam Crate. It's from the Slam Crate under the rock.
This one for me was really, really hard for me to justify myself putting it on this list. Because growing up as a child, 13, 14, 15, I was idolised with the People's Champion. Whether that be when he was originally running with the Nation, whether that be when he was in the Corporation, whether that was be his original face turn, where he was still a heel for weeks, but the fans were singing along, and all The Rock was doing every promo was, this is not Sing Along with The Rock, and you knew they were building up for this mega, mega face. And I was into it. I was into his shaky little boots, his rock bottoms, his people's elbows. But I jump in a time machine, right, and I look at it from a 31-year-old's point of view. I sit and watch a Rock match. Now, if you want to go on the same what we said about Cena, it's complete reverse. The character, the Rock itself, the character, I adored. Absolutely adored, and still do to this day. Even though I think it's a bit stale now, where he comes out for like when he hosted Mania a couple of years back, it's a bit stale seeing all this stuff that he did back in the Attitude Era, where he could be a bit more flexible with the words he used. But watching Rock in ring, like Rock expanded his repertoire by adding a terribly shit sharpshooter. So I mean, Cesaro can put one on better, and that's uncomfortable watching that. So for me, Rock he's overrated purely because people they remember Rock more for the character than for his in-ring work, where he was the top guy, and surely he should be remembered for his in-ring work.
I'm not gonna question any of that. I think the only thing I'm gonna say is the only things, and I don't think anyone can really question this. The only thing, when you remember The Rock, do you remember him for his greatest match, or do you remember him for his not for his eyebrow? Do you remember him for his promo work?
Cool.
And that is the reason he's gone into Hollywood.
Of course.
So I'm not going to argue that he'd be removed from the rest of this list. Look how short that was.
Yeah. Boy, for me, I look at it as a whole. You know what I mean? I look at the wrestler, I look at the entertainment side of things. I look at the ability to take a time in wrestling which needed a character like that. You had an Austin character, but you needed a brash, confident prick. You needed that. And you had that with The Rock, and you had that starting with the Nation and all that kind of stuff. And for me, I don't think he's overrated. For me, I don't think he's overrated. His in-ring work, I thought that his in-ring work was good until the point where he started doing like the shit shooter and all that kind of stuff. I just look back and I look back at it as a whole, and his ability to capture his audience, the ability to a promo, the ability to wrestle and have good matches. You got to look at his era, who he had to wrestle with. Once Kurt Angle came into that thing as well, man, it just flipped the script. You had Austin and Rock, and then Kurt Angle came in, pure thoroughbred wrestler, amateur wrestler, everything. And then you had Benoit, and then Booker T came over, and it was just like, wait, you've got all of these great wrestlers around, you know. But I'll keep it short. For me, I don't feel like he's overrated.
Larkin?
Overrated either.
Let's keep it nice and short because I got that part, Larkin. You said I don't think he's overrated either. I got that crystal clear.
So is that 50-50?
That's 50-50, yeah.
That's 50-50.
So it's the host decision, yeah?
Yeah, so, yeah, you stay on the list. Yeah, well, to be fair, everyone stays on this list as far as I'm concerned.
There you go.
I would go as far as saying 2 have been removed. I would say that.
So we're saying we remove Balor.
We're definitely removing Balor. And,
okay.
Oh, God, this is...
John Cena.
John Cena's not going to make it.
Oh, man.
Fuck, I just fucked up my own gimmick.
Wow.
I just buried myself. I just buried myself.
Hot him out.
That's it, Max Wrestling Podcast. I'm cutting a promo on myself this week.
So we move on then to the next person on the list. Now, this one for me, and I am growing up being the new gen boy that I was, this one hurt. Didn't just make me think, what, this one hurt, because I was a big ass Diesel boy.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I was a Diesel boy as well, and the thing is, I've always been a HBK guy, so Diesel was second for me. You know what I mean? But yeah.
I just never really saw anything in it, other than obviously Shawn Michaels gave old Vinny Vegas the chance to come over to WWE, be a bodyguard. Obviously, Diesel outgrew his need as a bodyguard and became a commodity in himself, you know. 7 foot tall, looked good, long hair, you know. I always say maybe, maybe Kevin Nash would never have gone to WCW if it wasn't for Scott Hall, and I think we all know that to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would we have seen something different from Kevin Nash? Would Kevin Nash have become this hungry money monster that he became? Would he have gained the bad press that he gained? I don't know. I look at it. We all look at it from different basically dimensions. I'm a wrestling guy. You know what I mean? Everything I say, inverted commas, wrestling. I look to wrestling. Kevin Nash weren't no fucking wrestler. Kevin Nash weren't no wrestler. Anyway, no one can argue here. Kevin Nash weren't no wrestler, man. Kevin Nash pulled more fucking quads than anyone in the business. Kevin Nash pulled a freaking quad, making his comeback at Bad Blood. Enough said.
Yeah.
Always one of my best Kevin Nash jokes. That why did Kevin Nash cross the road? He didn't. He pulled his quad off the
I think for me it's one of those ones where at the New Gen time we had obviously Shawn Michaels, we had we had Razor Ramon, and we had Bret Hart, and I feel like obviously Vince being a big, he loves the big guys, he was missing that. And he needed to create a character when he came over, and you had that Survivor Series 1994 when he was just eliminating everyone. Yeah, and the crowd was like shit. You know what I mean? Diesel. Yeah. You're like, fuck. Okay, shit. No, we got to give him something. We got to see if we can get another guy over, because at that time you had like 2 or 3 guys. You had your mid card guy, which was Razor. You had Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, which was your main guy. And Shawn Michaels, really, he was the mid-card guy. You had Bret that was up, you know what I mean? So they had to create that. And they did it by squashing Bob Backlund. And I think that was a sign to say, look, out with the old, here's the new generation kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when you look at it and it's at home, mate, he's on my list that I was going to add because I didn't realize that you had him on the list. So for me, he's on the list, man. Overrated. I don't think he's a promo guy. I don't think he's a really good good wrestler. Jackknife Powerbomb was fucking sick, and that's what got him over. So yeah,
I'd agree. Like I said, I'm Diesel. I'm a big Diesel boy, but Kevin Nash as a whole, I think we've near enough got the first one that we've all agreed on that he belongs. I think so. Right, so let's swiftly move on from Big Sexy then to another one which I believe this will get the same sort of form of attention and anger that one Finn Balor got. Now, the reason that this gentleman is on this list is because up to the point of his infamous work shoot promo on Monday Night Raw, nobody gives, and I don't care what anybody says, nobody gave a flying fuck about CM Punk.
I did. I've been a CM Punk boy since TNA when he's been a team with Julio De Niro.
Yeah, I did.
I did.
Oh my god.
You know when you said I tore your heart out with a certain guy that I put on this list. You ripped my balls out when you put this man on the list. This man's awesome.
I'm not denying in ring he's a pleasure to watch, an absolute pleasure to watch. But we are now 3 years removed since he left WWE, somewhat along them lines. And 3 years, and look how clear Larkin come through then, boom. But we still getting these CM Punk chants.
That shows though. That shows.
I don't think that's about him.
Come back tomorrow.
That's not about him. You know? That's about pissing off.
But I honestly believe if he came back tomorrow, it would be the ultimate mark out for social media, any arena that he went to. The guy is missed.
But that's not about him though. That's the thing. I think that's about the situation. That's why people would mark out, because again, what people thought he would, the way he left, he would never come back. Don't get it twisted. CM Punk is my dude. He's my dude. But the CM Punk chance is to piss people off. It's got nothing to do with him. I don't think people could care less whether he's there or not. I really think it's really to piss off Stephanie and Triple H and Vince, and just to say, we can control the show. Fuck you.
I can't knock anything he's ever done.
Oh yeah,
I think
from ROH to TNA, from watching him on on YouTube on Indies to seeing his work in WWE when he came in at ECW. Or he deserved his push, every little bit of that push he got from day one in WWE.
I disagree that he's overrated.
Well, I agree. Right, so
CM Punk can't go on this list.
okay, I'll up in there. We'll take Punk off the list, but let me just say, you'll all be eating your words if he does make his return and he's pushed onto main event because no one gives a fuck about him anymore.
I will. Tinny will. Mike will.
I'm fairly there that it's not CM that they miss. It's the situation itself.
Okay.
But for me,
but who created the situation?
the fans.
No, CM Punk did.
No, the fucking writers did on his shit. Right, moving on.
You sound so angry.
Right, moving on. This is another one that kind of hurt a little bit when you put it on. I remember back in the day when Goldberg was still Goldberg.
Yeah.
Like,
Butcher, is this Butcher? Yeah?
I'm never, ever gonna buy into this shitty train ride. I'm just not. Oh, the guy comes out right of a training development where it costs you a shit ton of money to get no wrestling experience. You got trained by a guy known as the Sarge, who
Parker.
You know what I mean? Look at the guy's credentials. I'm not saying you have to be the fucking world champion to be a fucking wrestling trainer, yeah? But you look at some of the guys that come out of that power plant. Some look like gods. Most of them look like fucking... They should have been He-Man, you know? How many of them guys that came out of that power plant truly made it? Truly made it?
None.
Yeah?
Apart from
None apart from Goldberg, yeah? The guy was pushed to the moon.
DDP.
Yes, DDP. Very, yes, my bad. You know, the guy was pushed to the moon incredibly fast. 170 plus people, undefeated streak. Less than 5 minutes of time in a ring. You know, a kick, a jackhammer, a spear. The guy had a pump handle. He did a pump handle slam. You know, the guy had no ability whatsoever. It was just a marketing move, and a shrewd one at that. That worked, and it showed it worked because the WWE paid him a shit ton of money to come from the first time feud with Triple H. You know, my most memorable moment to Goldberg is spearing Chris Jericho through a freaking elimination chamber, and that's it. That's it. Did I care when he came back this last run? Biggest freaking train wreck ever, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, right, yeah.
People can shout from the rafters and say, Goldberg. How many of them fuckers knew he came from a power plant? None. You know? How many of them fuckers only knew him because Daddy said, oh, that's Bill Goldberg. He was here freaking 13 years ago and he shafted freaking every fan out in his company because he was a greedy ass bastard. This goes very deep. I will never ever buy into part-time wrestlers that virtually come in for the money, because what these guys do is push guys down that guys who Bill Goldberg ain't fit to lace their boots.
But you can't blame Goldberg for that. All you can do is blame WWE. That's really because it's WWE are the ones that are putting the feelers out. And it's up to Goldberg to say, okay, nah, fuck this, I'm not gonna do it no more. Oh, here's the money. Okay, fuck it, I'm gonna
take that money.
But
I'm gonna take that money.
Is that down? And the instant that I saw that Goldberg was gonna be part of the video game, because we live in an era now where WWE want to create their own fake news. Like, look at the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at WrestleMania. They had Rowley go over purely so they could have a Sports Center moment, so they could get the NFL guy in because it'll be main article on webpage. They're all about creating, like, all these fucking, every Hall of Fame inductee this year, as reported earlier on Bleacher Report.
Dude, they got a red carpet for Hall of Fame. That's just for E.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because then that's why we're living in that era. So we've got a new video game. So how do we get hype about the new video game, but also relate it back to what we are originally as a wrestling product? Is there you go, and that's what and that exactly what you said then, Butcher, about people coming back just for the money is one of the main reasons that I originally put The Rock on this list. Is return back in.
It's become almost a hatred of mine. You know, it's to me, I watch wrestling now for the guys of today. You know, I remember the guys of yesterday with a fondness in my heart. You know what I mean? I have a deep respect for a lot of them, but guys that literally did nothing to get to where they are. You know what I mean? Did Bill Goldberg do anything to deserve a 170+ undefeated streak? No, did he? Fuck.
But they wanted.
He did it in a company that was dead and buried.
Can I say my piece on Goldberg then, because I think he's overrated as well. But my reasonings for this is you look at, again, you have to go back to then. It's Attitude Era. Fucking what's it called? WCW were winning. They saw what was happening with Austin. They needed someone else, and they used the only thing that works in wrestling is the hype. They used it to a fucking T. A look, a saying, an entrance, a finisher. Done. Like literally the fundamentals of getting someone over. They used promos, wins. Goldberg said shit. He didn't have to say anything because he said it with in the ring. He said it. They didn't have 20 minutes to market around Goldberg every episode. They had 5, if that. Entrance, squash, done, and that then got over massively. So yeah, he's overrated because he didn't say a promo. He didn't have to, and when he did, it was shit until recently. Again, wrestling. He didn't have to do that. Spearing to Jack Howard was fucking sick growing up. We all used to spear everyone. I used to think, what the fuck? Like this move, you mean that all I have to do is just run into someone and then they're done. They're done. You know what I mean? And
run into someone, I'm champion.
Yeah, they sold that, and people just took it in. And the more and more he won, the more and more the hype happened. And then people started questioning, oh shit, like he's facing nobodies. And then he started beating people, and then he beat Hogan, and it was like, fuck, you know what I mean? And then the hype died down because he was the champion and he's dominant, and then they fucked themselves because once you build an undefeated guy and once he loses, what's the story after? They didn't know what to do after. They didn't know what to do. When Goldberg came in WWE, that was simply because, again, the hype. WWE signed all these guys from WCW, everyone else stayed home, so the ones that were left, it's a hype. You're just waiting for them to come in. So once they come in, it's like, what the fuck, they're in, blah blah blah. And then the perfect guy to start off with, The Rock. The perfect guy. You know what I mean? And so it all I
gotta be honest, I did mark out for that.
It all kind of played in, and it's just so happened that he's managed to profit massively off someone, their creation of what they think that this guy could do. They know he's not the best wrestler. They know he's not the best talker. Well, don't let him do any. And it's smart. But I think his last run I felt that his last run just come back. He was the most over guy, the most over babyface on Raw. How does that work? You know what I mean? Again, the hype. They hyped it so much from a video game, like Dave said, from a video game. But I agree with Butcher. He is overrated.
Right, next one on the list. One that it's a 2017. If you were going to have a list of overrated wrestlers right here, right now, on this day, Dean Ambrose for me is number 1. Purely because if we lived in an era, I think Dean Ambrose is perfectly made. He's like they broke the mold if the Hardcore Championship was still a thing.
He comes from CCW.
This is going to be so short because I know I agree with it. Kinny said this time after time again on Sunday Segway. He does that 1 move, 2 move, flies into the ropes.
That clothesline.
It's so easy. It's so easy. I don't even think we'd have a debate on this guy.
No, first time Dean Ambrose did that clothesline on Seth Rollins, I was blown away. I thought, because it was quick, it was instant. Bang into ropes, bang, he came back. But now it's very similar to how Rey Mysterio, the later he got in life, because he couldn't do many moves, to set people up for the 619, it was either a head scissors, and the wrestler had to get themselves into position. Dolph Ziggler, crawling yourself, we saw you. But it's exactly the same with Dean Ambrose with this reverse lariat clothesline now. It's like he has to look over his shoulder first to make sure he's close enough to the ropes for him to bounce off and come back. Yeah. But that's all he's got. The Dirty Deeds is a terrible move. They changed the finisher, but didn't tell anybody, because it used to be, if I'm correct, a different style of like DDT.
It was the front one, wasn't it? It was basically like a full Nelson. Full Nelson into like a front face, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't remember what they called it, but it got banned.
They called it Dirty Deeds.
Yeah.
They
got banned.
They kept the name and just changed the move into a Mick Foley DDT special, double arm DDT. But yeah, he's not a wrestler. And when they put the world belt on him, I felt, seriously, is this what we've come to now? I mean, the kid just went...
I liked it. I like the fact that they took a chance.
Yeah, I liked that too.
I like the fact that they took a chance. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all wrestling fans, and you know, I think sometimes you need to take chances. You're never going to make a new guy, or you're never going to know what's around the corner unless you take chances. And Ambrose, what was a chance? I think it paid off for a little bit, but it just got to the same. It got to the point where If you understand what I'm trying to say, we'd seen the lunatic Fringe, which was in the Shield.
Yep.
Who actually looked like he looked like he needed assessing. He didn't look right, did he? You know. And then they brought in this. He won the title, and he just became, I don't know, funny. He'd lost the lunatic Fringe, and he just became funny.
Well, when he came down with the hot dog car,
you know,
then
it just became too much. It became too much. I'm enjoying his stuff with Corbin at the minute, but for me, I've not seen anything. Like we just said, CZW. Your main, job as a CZW wrestler is to be reckless and be hardcore. You know, that don't work in a PG environment. So, in terms of ability, does he have any ability? No. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I think he's overrated. He's overrated. Like you said, David, he's overrated. Just done, finished.
Right, so next one on the list, Butcher, I'll hand over to you, The Big Show.
Well, it's The Big Show.
This is short and sweet for me, and it's kind of painful. It's kind of painful because I watched the guy that made his debut in WCW as the Giant. Sure promise. Came to the WWE relatively early as Paul White. Promise. 2006 was the year that I got to watch the the start of what would become possibly the worst 10 years. If anything, they've held on too tight with the Big Show. He's gained nothing in ability. He is just a kind of a rip-off of Andre the Giant. They wanted to corner a market and have the largest athlete in the world, and that's what he's always lived off. Athlete. You're a wrestler. He's not much of an athlete either, is he? Well, he looks a bit of an athlete now.
But that's the
he's lost his weight.
That's the problem. That's the issue with The Big Show. He's
just overrated.
10 years too late to start putting himself in shape.
He's overrated for me.
I agree.
Yeah, he's definitely overrated for me. I mean, WCW, they saw the guy and just literally, he won the title on his first time?
They do.
You know what I mean? And he was so green. But they had the fact that it was, he was so tall. And it was, but WWE, again, failed to market him right, failed to, wrong storylines, everything. He could have been a big deal, but they flopped it. So, overrated.
Well, they decided to put him the strap on him at Survivor Series 99 when Austin had to leave for his injury and they had the Who Ran Over Austin. So what they decided to do was put a Big Show to the Rock Triple H, make it triple threat. Big Show comes over, he wins the title, big ending, he's fathered. I know they had it on storyline where he just died, but I know his dad had died a few months prior.
Who's my daddy?
That fucking poem. And you can't, Big Boss Man's work, some of the best Big Boss Man's work. But that's not how you push your new world champion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't have him in a fucking funeral setting jumping onto the back of his dad's coffin as the Big Show fucking drives it away. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Big Show, you've made the list. Moving on, this for me, he belongs on this list more than anybody because he made a name because his tag team partner had to retire, and that was one Christian.
If you close your eyes, your life can make it 2, 3 feels.
If Christian, if Edge didn't have to retire after his Mania match with Del Rio, and Christian was instantly pushed into a main event, what was he doing?
I definitely do agree with that, but from an overrated stance, his career was quite long.
He was, but people,
you know,
they put him at par with Edge. Edge was something else.
He was never on par with Edge. I will say, I always say that. He was never on par with Edge. I think obviously when Edge and Christian split, he kind of went his own way. They did the Un-Americans thing?
Yep, yeah.
With Test, Lance Storm. That didn't go anywhere. He went to TNA. Quite painful to watch.
His run in TNA wasn't overly bad until they brought in fucking Tonko.
You know, I don't know. I don't know whether I can put him on it, but I can definitely. I think that just comes from a personal thing. You know what I mean? I mean, I used to be a massive fan of tag team wrestling. I mean, and I look at some of the TLC matches. You know, what that match being cemented the way it has, and with the way it'll always be remembered. Without them two, no. Did he have great wrestling ability? No, I don't think so. Was he as good as Edge? No, I don't think so. Was he good enough to win a world title and get one more chance?
No.
Fucking hell no.
No.
Does he belong on this list? Christian, you just made the list.
I agree. Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike said yeah.
I said yeah. Right, so moving on. The next one on the list. Now, for me, as we spoke about earlier, being growing up in the years that I did, the Ultimate Warrior was one, like with Kinny, it was one of the wrestlers that first got me hooked in wrestling. But the way that the Ultimate Warrior is perceived in life, my God, he was overrated.
You see, this for me was a very, very, it's a deep one. Because do I love and respect the man? Yeah, not because of obviously the tragic thing that happened. I believe the man has very, very, yeah, look at that picture. You know, I think he's. Would Hulk Hogan have been as big as he was without the Ultimate Warrior? I don't think so. Because I think Warrior pushed I think Warrior pushed Hogan as hard as most people did. You know,
was one to get the answer on because of how massive WrestleMania 6 was.
Do you think Hogan thought Warrior was a threat? I think so.
Oh yes.
Of course he was a threat. You know. Warrior, obviously, we're never going to know the real freaking truth as to why he never came back earlier and stuff like that, you know? And maybe them stones are never better left unturned. Yeah. You know, we look at it from a fondness in our heart as the guy he was, and the guy had beliefs. I watched a hell of a lot of his stuff, and the guy just seemed very bitter, you know? Did he have great in-ring ability? No. You know? Was he a marketable genius? Yeah. Did kids love and adore him? Yeah. You know?
But
do I really feel guilty for doing this? Yeah. Yeah.
But he couldn't wrestle for shit. You know?
No.
They proved that when they brought him back at Mania 12 against Triple H, and the match lasted 5 seconds or whatever it was.
He was a freak of nature, wasn't he? That's what he was. He was a freak of nature.
He was superhuman, but that's where it stopped.
Yeah. See, it's hard for me because obviously he's the whole reason I got into wrestling in the first place.
Yeah.
So you know, on that basis, I can't say he's overrated, because if he was overrated, then why did I get into it? It questions me coming into wrestling. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Maybe then, but as an adult now, it's like, yeah, he's overrated, isn't it? Like, but yeah. So I have to stay on the fence for that one. Sorry.
I'm saying yes. Butcher's saying yes. Larkin.
I think he said no.
I think he said no.
I thought he said no. I thought that was the one line of the line. No.
Right, so Warrior, we sit on the fence with that one. Now moving on. Now this is going to be short and fast because I hate this guy with a passion. Festus. Now I like to remember him, Festus, but for some reason he's gone away to New Japan. He's had a bath in fake tan. Right, he's not just sprayed it on. He's had a bath for the past 10 years in fake tan, right? He's got himself in a little bit of shape, but all he does now is run around looking like a mahogany piece of furniture, calling people nerds. And all of a sudden, because he was part of the fucking Bullet Club, and because he teams with Carl Anderson, I've got no problems with yet. But why? How all of a sudden is Luke Gallows fucking awesome again?
Right, dude. He's awesome because he got himself fucking over on the back of a gimmick which was fucking burial, man. Like,
Festus was amazing.
Biscuits and gravy. But yeah, I mean, I watch New Japan, so you know what I mean. The guy got over, like the guy got over. So that's why. But yeah, from now he is overrated. He is overrated.
Hi.
He is
Hello.
overrated. He is overrated.
He's just I just think that I look at him and I don't see why he's a reason to be there apart from that he was in the Bullet Club or he was in the club, etc. I'd happily remove Gallows. I'd split these up in the Superstar Shake-Up. Shift Gallows to, I don't know, fucking Total Divas or something. And stick Anderson on.
Total Divas.
Yeah, and stick Anderson on SmackDown.
Oh, that'll be the end of that.
Yeah.
No, it's got to continue.
No.
I want AJ Styles. I want Finn Balor. I want the club. I want the club back. I want it to be what it should be.
We've spoke about this many a times. NWO were terrible in 2000. I don't like seeing him in 2017. So, how do we stand on Festus?
Overrated.
Overrated. Larkin?
Overrated.
Overrated. There we go. Moving on. Now, I'm leaving this one all the way up to you, Butcher, because I don't get it.
7 foot tall giant that used to just push people in the chest and will always be remembered for being 7 foot tall. I don't get it. You know what I mean? Hulk Hogan slams the man, and I can't get it.
Well, I think when we were putting this list together, you mentioned that it was Andre the Giant, but it's not just Andre the Giant. It's his Battle Royals.
Is he going to be remembered? Right? Is he always going to be remembered as Andre the Giant, the guy that was huge, bigger, larger than life? You know, the guy that many WWE superstars sat on his knee. You know, I mean, I perhaps I'm just a grumpy bastard. You know,
yeah,
I don't know, right? But I try and look past these things. But I mean, he's overrated for me for the reason that I look at him and think sometimes the reason they big him up, I can't see that. You know, I can't see that.
I think my biggest gripe I've always had with Andre was the fact that Andre created his own spot so he could have a rest.
That's veteran moves, man.
I'll fall into the ropes. I'll hook myself up just so I can have 5 minutes. It was very, very. I think the worst thing is with Andre, we saw the best of Andre in his later life.
The thing is, right? I always say this: best way for us to look at it. If Andre the Giant came into the business in the 2000s, in obviously the size he was when he came in, yeah, would we be saying he's fantastic? No, of course we would.
Yeah, him and Big Show would be a sick tag team.
Oh my God.
I think that he's I don't think he's overrated. I mean, at the time, again, where they needed something like this is before Hogan. The guy was like, he was undefeated. You know what I mean? He was undefeated until I think was it Bruno, or was it Hogan? What, I think it was undefeated to Hogan.
One of the two, yeah, one of the two.
So again, man, he started that whole thing, man. That started that whole run, WWF, you know. So yeah, I say he's not overrated.
I agree.
Kida,
Larkin?
you can't.
Not overrated.
Not overrated.
Daddy's
3 to
doing
1.
something.
Andre Giant is off the list. Right, so we have 5 more. I don't think this guy needs much time. I think we can all agree. Roman Reigns.
Disagree.
Yeah. That's close.
I disagree.
Go, Kida.
I think
I
my
disagree.
issue with Roman Reigns is that the kid can wrestle,
Kida,
and he
I'm
proves that,
coming
and I've
out in
been
a
saying
minute,
it for years.
please.
I've always been in his corner. I think the bullying and stuff, it's something that's cool to do these days. Like, it's cool to go to a wrestling show and boo when Roman Reigns comes out. It's cool to go to a wrestling show and boo when Roman Reigns tries to do a promo. But Roman, as a wrestler, I don't think he's overly bad.
Yeah, I don't think he's overrated. I can't. No matter how much I dislike
he's
him,
not.
I can't say he's overrated. I cannot say he.
No,
It's
he's
too
not.
soon. It's too soon. I just can't say he's overrated.
Yeah,
he's
too
a
soon.
WWE Performance Center product. He's a FCW product.
Very much.
I can't. I
FCW.
can't. Yeah, I can't.
The actor, man.
Yeah.
I put him on this list for the pure reason that again, like I said at the start, I've tried to look at it from my point of view as a fan and also from the minds of Vince McMahon. And in Vince McMahon's head, this kid's fucking something special. And I think
He will be. He will be something special.
I
will be.
totally agree he will be. But I firmly believe that they pulled the trigger far too soon with Roman Reigns. And it's going to take some monumental heel turn and then some monumental face turn on the back of that in maybe a year's time. Very similar. I always say it, very similar to with The Rock. I always like to use The Rock as an example, as a comparison. 96 Rocky Maivia, absolutely abysmal. Fortunate to get that injury. You shouldn't ever wish an injury on anybody. He was fortunate to get injured. They then allowed him to go away, come back on this little cocky persona that you start to see within the Nation of Domination, start to refer to himself as a third person, and then when we got the final face turn, 3 years later, The Rock was the biggest star in the world. I think they push people too soon. They need to be, like me and Dave had this conversation with Finn Balor. When Finn Balor returned last week on Raw, I would have much rather seen Finn Balor stand on that ring apron and not tag in, or refuse tagging, but Seth can never get that moment. He can never make the tag. And then he finally makes the tag towards the end of the match, and Balor turns on him, and now we've got this new Evolution 2.0 with Balor in it, because then it gives him 6 months to push Balor as the best heel in the business, and then when his face turn comes, book him right, people will want it. They'll be desperate for the face turn. I think people are desperate for Roman Reigns because he got pushed. Sorry, people are desperate for Roman Reigns to turn heel because he got pushed so much down everyone's throats as a face.
Yeah, I mean,
In the minds of Vince McMahon, in the minds of Kevin Dunn and all that, he's overrated.
okay. I mean, I'm still gonna say I don't think he's. I don't particularly like where he's at the moment, but I'm not gonna say he's overrated.
Oh.
Larkin? Underrated, did you just say?
I said no. Not
I thought you said underrated. I was fucking hell, that's a new episode. Isn't it?
Yeah, he said he's not overrated.
Yeah, so are we then deciding that Roman Reigns stays or removes?
He goes.
He goes.
He's got to come off.
Yeah.
He's got to come off.
Okay.
Too early.
Next one. I can be your hero. Mr. Lex Express himself.
Over fucking rated, bruv.
You were my hero.
Yes!
Don't even
Yes,
get
I
me
love what you just did, man. You did it so quick.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like,
There you go. Done. Dusted.
Fuck you, Lex Luger. And you stupid metal.
I'll be your
fucking
hero.
Moving on. Now this one,
You're not even mentioning this. You're not even going to mention.
No,
You mentioned it. When you mention this guy's name, look at the anger in my voice here. This guy goes down as another guy.
let me justify it.
No.
I said in the chat when we were speaking about this, I am. There are two different people in this conversation. Yeah, one of them is Scott Hall, the other one is Razor Ramon. Now Razor Ramon, up to the point of him leaving to WCW, was upper mid card in WWE. You'd probably say. Probably Shawn Michaels was ahead of him in the mid card.
most underrated wrestler of all.
Now, like I said, I'm not saying Scott Hall's a wrestler. This is Razor. Right, Scott Hall is not in the Hall of Fame, but Razor Ramon is.
Razor Ramon was a great gimmick.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead then.
If Scott Hall would have stayed in the WWE in the build-up to the Attitude Era and everything that we saw with the Austins and everybody else, Razor Ramon, as a character, would have died fucking a dog death.
I don't think so.
Fucking
He would have just been known as. They would have switched it. He would have just been known as Razor. Like, that's it. No doubt in my mind they would have switched. Because if you look at the Undertaker, he's still the Undertaker, but they had to change his thing.
He had to evolve.
Yeah, he had to evolve. I mean, with you saying that with the Scott Hall and seeing it two different things, Scott Hall is fucking overrated, right? But Razor Ramon can't be. He was the second over babyface in that whole company in that period of time when he was.
What did we just touch on, Kinny? What did we just touch on? There was about 3 of them.
Yeah. But he was in it, and he carried that shit, man. He carried that mid card. Like, without him, there would be nothing. Like, we had no perfect.
What we think. What we've got to remember is when Razor Ramon left WWE and Scott Hall became Scott Hall, the first time Scott Hall stepped over that barrier and got in that ring, he went, "Hey yo." He was still fucking Razor Ramon. He was still Razor Ramon. You know, I can't even believe I'm having this conversation. I love and adore this man.
I can't. Oh. He should have been world champ instead of Diesel. But obviously they needed a heel foil. He should have been world champ. He should have been the guy, but he wasn't the guy for whatever reason. But sorry, those words overrated for Scott Hall, definitely. But for me to say Razor Ramon's overrated, nah, man. Really, yeah. You got the best Scott Hall you could have under Vince McMahon. Everything after that.
I agree. The Scott Hall in 2002 were fucking brilliant.
But yeah, sorry. For me, he's not overrated.
No, that's all about this episode. If we all agreed, it'd be a shite episode. Don't you agree? Larkin, where do we stand on Razor Ramon?
Not overrated.
Not overrated. Right, so Razor, you're off the list as well. Then it seems like, but we'll replace you with Scott Hall. You're back on the list. Right, last couple then. Dave, Batista.
I can't. For me, I've never bought into the Batista hype. Jacked up guy, came from Ohio Valley Wrestling. Used to be known as Leviation, or whatever it was. Leviation. Came in with Brother Devon as Deacon Batista. Pushed to the mountain very quick with Evolution. Clumsy wrestler, heavy on his feet. Hit like a freight train, but moved like a fucking Reliant Robin. You know, I never liked him. Never liked him. Any of his work, and then that tragic comeback with the skinny jeans, Bautista. You know, why? Do you know what I mean? It was another case of a guy coming back, taking a spotlight from someone else. You know?
No, definitely.
But his work before that, you know what I mean? You can't put your finger on one standout moment, other than him beating, two probably standout moments in his career. The thumbs down, putting Triple H through a table, and then beating Triple H for the world title. They're his key moments in his career for me. And in a career that spanned, is it 11 years in the WWE?
Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah, about that.
Not good enough. Not good enough.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue with Batista, like I said, I was quite the Batista fan growing up, but an advantage of doing the Ruthless Aggression podcast as well. We've just reviewed Armageddon 2002, which was Batista's pay-per-view debut. Oh my God, that stunk. And are you telling me that Batista's ready to go? Granted, he's fighting Kane, and Kane's, I don't imagine he's the hardest person to wrestle because Kane refuses to take anything. As long as I can land on my knees, do any move on me that you want, as long as I can land on my knees. But his first, like, we've slowly seen the transition from, like what Dave said, we saw him in Ohio Valley, and then we've seen Decon Batista, and then with me and the guys on the Ruthless Aggression, we're just starting to see Batista singles wrestler, and he's not ready. And this is 2000, you know what I mean? He's not ready to start wrestling, and yeah, and then going on down the timeline to his comeback with the fucking looking like a Smurf, Evolution, let's try again, even though now we're all nearly 50-year-old. Yeah, it's... Me and Dave have touched on this before, and I'm firmly in the agreement that if they would have gone with Mark Jindrak instead of Batista for Evolution, Batista would have never been a thing. He would have lived the same level as Jackson Andrews or fucking Jesus.
Oh, that's hard, man. Oh, that's hard. But I mean, I think he's overrated. At the same time, they made that turn so perfectly. They had the right amount of guys in Evolution, and that turn, they did it so... Everyone could not wait for him to do that to Triple H, and then everyone couldn't wait to WrestleMania. And then when he beat Triple H, JR calling that, like, oh man, that whole thing was magical. I was a massive mark for that. The way that happened was just so big at that time. But yeah, I mean, again, he's overrated. He did what he did in that time, and he did it as good as he could, and he was over. No one can't say he wasn't over, because the guy was over. You know what I mean? Like, he had the look. I'm a pyro fiend, so man, all day I lap that up all day. But yeah, he's overrated, man.
I agree. Butcher, overrated.
Oh yeah.
Larkin,
Absolutely.
love it. I love when we're in agreement. We'll finish on Brock fucking Lesnar.
This is tough, man. This is a tough one. This was a tough one based on... To be honest, the guy came in as a guy that was college wrestler, was it NCAA champion?
Yeah.
Pure athlete. Did he think he was bigger than he was? I think so. Did he have the right to? Fuck yeah. Was there anyone that was going to tell him any different? You know, when you go into a WrestleMania and you have possibly one of the greatest matches in the last 10 years against one Kurt Angle, were you good enough? Yeah. Did the company let him down? Yeah. Did he go away and prove himself? No.
Oh, he came back with his tail between his legs, didn't he? Obviously, he had. Yeah. When he left after Mania 20, you could guarantee Brock Lesnar had no fucking inclination of ever returning to WWE, because he saw himself as the next NFL superstar. And after that failed, he saw himself as the next UFC superstar. Now, obviously, he got the diverticulitis he got that made him like lose half his muscle mass and stuff. And obviously, he's had to put that back on as weight. And now you see with Brock Lesnar, now you compare him to the Brock Lesnar we saw, he was like chiseled out of fucking granite. This Brock Lesnar now, he just looks fat. But he's still getting booked the same way he did when he made his debut on Monday Night Raw in 2002, when he could actually wrestle. I imagine he still can now, but suplex, it's fucking boring. But he's still being pushed as the main fucking guy on the brand. And Vince McMahon comes in his pants when he fucking sees that Brock Lesnar's going to be on the next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And for me, nah, we're done, Brock. Sorry, you should have stayed in WrestleMania 20, and that should have been the last time we saw you.
I can't say he's overrated, because he's managed that first run was amazing, and then coming back, obviously he stumbled on something, you know, marketable, and he's just gone with it. I, like you, Dave, would love to see more of his repertoire. I want to see him wrestle. I want to see that. I want to see Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, that kind of match. I want to see that. Whether we get that, maybe we will, maybe we won't. At the moment, we don't, because of how he's marketed. Again, I'm a pyro fiend, and again, he has this raw intensity that no one has. Baron Corbin should have that intensity. That's what pisses me off about Baron Corbin, because I love the guy, but that's what pisses me off. He should have that intensity. He shouldn't have to say nothing. He should have a mouthpiece. He shouldn't have to say anything, but he can talk. Yeah. So he should be able to be like that. But nevertheless, I just, something in me just cannot say that Brock Lesnar is overrated. Yeah.
Okay, so what are we saying? So let's end Brock Lesnar then. Are we going to say yes or no? Does Brock Lesnar deserve the top slot on this list?
No. No.
I'm gonna say no as well. So why the fuck have we put him on
I
it?
don't know. One,
Because it's at the time, innit? It's at the time I was looking at it,
Yeah.
and I just look at it and I think a lot of it is down to the company in itself. Did he create a marketing tool? Yeah, of course he did. He started suplexing people. Have they jumped on that and said, Brock, boy, we want you to do very, very little apart from this? You know, is that his fault? No, he's getting paid.
So we'll finish up and say, Brock Lesnar, you're not overrated in some unbelievable weird way. But guys, what we'll do, that's been an awesome couple of hours. We'll end that here, I think. So I think we've just about populated the entire list. Give or take a few we've removed and added. Kinny, one last time, thank you ever so much, sir, for joining us. If you just want to let everyone know again where they can find you.
At Sunday Segway, Segway spelled SEGUE, at Kitty Killa, that's KILLA. Sunday Segway podcast.wix.com/Sunday Segway.
There you go. Dave, with the man with the sharpest tongue, sharper than the sword that chopped off Val Venus's pee-pee, where can they find you?
You can find me at 6'9" Butcher.
Fandabidoza. And always, guys, you can find us facebook.com/WWPodcast20 and WWPodcast20 on the Twitter machine. And do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. But until next time, guys, it's been a pleasure. Peace out, people.